Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. It's Ed Carbajal for MMAnews.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Carbazel. Today is November 28th, the Sunday after a huge Saturday night of boxing and other kinds of combat sports. We'll get into all of that for this Sunday's submission. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you do the thumbs up notification, bell, all that stuff. Bell notification, thumbs up, like, subscribe to the channel where these videos like this and our fighter interviews live. If you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, this week we have Rafael Fizzyev and Colby Covington, courtesy of the Canadian god James Lynch, who spoke to those fighters for Fizziyev's upcoming or Covington's posts, what's next for him and stuff like that. So there was no UFC this weekend, and I know MMAnews.com is a UFC stan channel. But we do have full results for Triad Combat up on the website. I'll bring those up in a moment, along with some highlights. But again, there was a big if you're a fight fan and not just a UFC fan, you were not left without stuff to watch. So we did have two pretty good boxing events going on, one on Showtime, one on DAZN. Both were like title unification bouts for lightweights and bantamweight division. So I want to do them in order because the two bigger ones were the biggest boxing one and Triller Fight Club's Triad Combat event. If you know the history, they're kind of connected, and I'm going to get into why I'm talking about those together in a moment. But really quick, on Showtime under the PBC Premier Boxing Championships, Stephen Fulton Jr. Edged out a win over Brandon Figueroa by majority decision to unify the super bantamweight titles, and that was on Showtime over in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand. And funny because there was a lot of punching going on across the country this past Saturday after Thanksgiving. And then we had on the East Coast, we had the Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos Jr. do their thing with the lightweight division, and if we, it's I don't think it's not a lot. I don't think it's something that we were all expecting, as far as the outcome and the dominant performance that Kambosos put on. I'm just trying to bring up some. Actually, I have some highlights here that I want to show you because from the first round, Kambosos dropped him. I'm going to bring up the highlight for you but why this is significant. And it's funny because why it's significant to Triad Combat. What Triller did is because if you remember, they were supposed to put this show on in October, I believe. First, it was where it happened in the Hulu Theater, Madison Square Garden, and then it was supposed to be at Barclays, and then it just Triller, as much as they paid to have it, they didn't host the event and wound up going to DAZN under I think Matchroom picked it up for Eddie Hearn, right? I feel like DAZN should just be Matchroom's streaming service, but that's besides the point. So George Kambosos Jr. picks up the win there, and I'm wondering if the fact that this was on and Triller did this the Triad Combat seemed to pop out of nowhere within the last month. We're here at the end of November. I literally had Sean Wheelock on the podcast I co-host, the Coast to Coast Combat Hour. Me and Matt Hawkins, we had him on for the second time, and we were just talking about regulation and rules and things like that. And it just seemed like that was at the end of October, and that the first week of November, this event seemed to have popped up, and Frank Mir and Kubrat Pulev, the Cobra, were announced as a main event. And as we got nearer to it, just like more details kept added. We got clarification on the rules, which shout out to Sean Wheelock had a hand in doing. If you don't know anything about Wheelock, he sits on the board or I forget what his official title is, but he knows a thing or two about athletic commissions and stuff like that. So rule set that they did was what was best for what they were doing over at Triad Combat. But I just want to show you the highlight really quick. This is this was from the first knockout of let's bring it back. This was the knockout that happened in round 1, or the knockdown, I should say, from the Lopez Cambosos. Kind of dictated how the fight was going to go. I feel like maybe later on in the fight he had a little bit of a better advantage, but and by the way, I found a way to hopefully do this without getting us in any trouble. I removed the audio, and I'm only doing this for commentary and informational purposes. But it seemed like that knockdown might have, I don't know if it messed with his head, because afterwards I know he wasn't very sportsmanlike and in his loss. It is what it is though, but that's what happened. That was probably the bigger boxing event of the night, and I feel like booking that and Triller, I don't want to say it was a rushed event, but because they were originally supposed to do this, it's almost like I feel like they're trying to throw shade at not just Dana White and the UFC, but other just the combat sports as a whole. And I know everyone has their complaints about boxing and MMA for that matter, and how events are put together, fighter pay, and all of that. But it seems like they're trying to I don't want too hard to flex what they're doing with Triad Combat. And well, I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. I didn't mind the fights at Triad Combat. We have the results up. Let me bring those up for you right now. I forgot to add that onto the thing here on my list of things to share. So let me just add that. We have the full results with highlights up over at MMAnews.com. And I have the clip of the Frank Mir, the main event finish, that I want to show you, because that seems to be the one that was most hated on, or Dan Miragliotta getting some shade over it. But the thing about this event, first of all, it was attached to a concert, a Metallica concert, right? I just want to have the results up because there were some really good fights on there. The week leading into the event, they made it like they turned it into like a team concept, and I couldn't find anything on their press releases, which I get, where that was first like originally the thing, and a point system that seemed to just get added the week of on fight week, which I found weird. So I don't know if that was the last minute to make the team concept, team MMA versus, because it was boxers, 7 bouts, boxers versus MMA fighters from various UFC, Bellator, and what have you. Men and women. But they just seem to try to add more to it by fight night. And I just thought that was a little weird, because the team concept, and I do my research when I write my pieces on them for other outlets. I really couldn't find anything on it. I mean, I thought there's a great video. It's actually on Triller Fight Club's YouTube channel if you want to go check it out. That Wheelock did to talk about the rules. And essentially, in my opinion, they're dirty boxing. The rules were just dirty boxing. You could step on someone's feet to kind of manipulate their footwork, spinning back fists, Superman punch, which is just like a jumping cross or a reverse punch, depending on your discipline. And then you could clinch and hit as long as the clinch was active. You're not allowed to lock hands like so. Which if you watch at the beginning, the first fight had someone do that, and the ref broke them up right away. And folks, on the commentary team were questioning it. Thankfully, Wheelock was on the commentary team to kind of, I mean, he definitely earned his money during this event. But let's look at the fight card here and the results. So, I mean, they had a score, which is, I forget how the point system works. I don't think, I doubt it's included in this article, and it's not. But which I did not write, by the way. I'm just using this for reference. So you can, again, MMAnews.com for the highlights and everything you want to see. But they had a point system that had, I believe it was 14-11 by the end of the night. Team MMA beats Team Boxing. However, the main event, Kubrat Pulev knocks out Frank Mir in the first round, which did not look good. It looked like there was an injury on Mir coming in. Again, I know he's the older fighter, and folks would like to kick older fighters when they're down. But I mean, when you look at how because this is Mir's second Triller event. When you look at how he performed against somebody of the likes of Steve of USS Cunningham at the first time he fought in Triller under straight boxing rules, he did pretty well. Even though he lost by decision, he did pretty well, and he seemed like almost renewed. Like, you don't see many fighters happy when they lose. I know, like it counts for something though. Like, you take a learning experience from it, and it looks like Mir did that with that match. Coming into this one with Triller's money that they seem to be throwing, because every single fighter commented on the pay that they were getting. So, which begs the question is, how long are you going to be able to fund this and make it something fighters will be interested in? And hopefully, if I get Wheelock on the podcast again, I can ask him, like, because I kept going back and forth with, does this rule set really level the playing field, right? Like, okay, I mean, it's still dirty boxing. I think most boxers that have spent some years boxing know how to dirty box and recognize what it is. It's just flipping the switch in your mind when you're competing with a referee to do it versus doing what you've been trained to not do or deem as an illegal move. For example, on this card, when Derek Campos fought Brian Vera in this fight here, where he won the majority decision. He even lost a point. So that's why the numbers look a little odd in the scoring. 2-minute rounds, by the way. I wonder if that highlight is on here. Of course, it's just Mike Perry, and yeah, that's one that needs to be on there. Go to you see how we have the fight. You can see the highlights from a lot of the event, including the Metallica performance, which is, if you don't like Metallica, I mean, I'm an old man, so Metallica's definitely from my generation coming up. So I enjoyed most of it. When the fights were over, I didn't stick around for the rest of the songs. Obviously, it's a late night here on the East Coast, but there was a moment where Derek Campos knocked down his Vera. I think it was early in round 1 or round 2. He knocks him down, and because coming from MMA, when fighters get a knockdown, they train to keep going until the referee stops the fight, right? So, he knocks his opponent down, and he goes and punches him again while he's down. And then he even apologized afterward. He was like, oops, I mean, there's some things that they said in the post-fight press conference too that bothered me. One of the things was that they didn't let any of the competitors go into the ring before the event. That's something a lot of fighters, whether it be boxing or MMA, they like to do that because they just want to feel. If you listen to any fighter talk about, like you hear folks talk about UFC jitters and how the cage, just because it's bigger, it feels different, especially someone coming from the regional scene or into Bellator or fighting in Japan. It's something they like to do to kind of clear that mental shock or what have you when they first walk into where they're going to be, going live and fighting and risking their limbs and their health, against an opponent who's not, helping them train or whatever. It's a fight. So, and a lot of that stuff matters. I remember with Chael Sonnen's podcast with his boxing trainer. I'm forgetting his name. His face is in my mind. I'll remember it later. But he talked about this, and I might have mentioned this before on Sunday Submission. He talked about how the thickness of the floor that boxers use, like, can help with their footwork and how fast they move. So one of the things that I didn't really take into account was the triangle shaped ring, which I don't know what happened with the lawsuit that BKB or BYB, I forget who also has a triangle shaped ring, said that Triller is in violation law. It just seems like Ryan Kavanaugh doesn't give a shit, and he's just going full steam ahead with whatever they want to do and trying to make a new fight sport, combat sport. But um, I feel like if anything, that might have messed with the boxers. Considering when you look at the teams that won and lost, that may have messed because boxers' footwork, the sweet science of boxing, a lot of it. When you talk about striking in general, I mean, yes, it's the power of your hands and your muscles and stuff like that, but a lot of the power is generated from the placement of your foot and driving off of the ground. So footwork counts a lot for striking for those that are not familiar with the striking arts. And generating power and being able to counter and step away. I think the triangle shaped ring. I mean, I was wondering what the measurements of it were. It seems the more that people were entered it, it seemed smaller. I mean, it definitely seemed too small for three people to be in, the two competitors and the ref. Um, I wonder if they can make it a little bigger. I don't know. There was a lot of production that went into this, but uh, I just wonder if that hadn't someone fell out of the ring in the first bout with five ropes. Even Boss Rutan, who was on commentary, said that was weird. It was kind of cool having Boss and Sean Wheelock again on commentary because they've called a few Pride events in Japan, so it was a bit nostalgic with the insertion of Ray Flores and his he was there. um, I'm trying to think where I was going with the triangle shape ring and stuff like that. So I thought that was a little weird that they wouldn't let them do that. I hope that's something that changes because I mean, if you really want to level the playing field, I mean, the thinking behind it. I forget the gentleman's name that at the post fight press conference who's the COO, not Ryan Kavanaugh. There's another guy with a German accent that was there. If you go on Triller Fight Clubs, you can watch a press conference. I watched it just before I did this, so I'm sorry I don't remember the name. I should have written it down. But he said that they did that on purpose to make it a truly even playing field. I don't know if that's a great idea when it comes to people that are going to be, trying to damage each other under the control of combat sports. But I feel like that's probably what benefited MMA fighters over the boxers because boxers are used to having the footwork and the movement and things like that to kind of do their feeling out process that is done for boxing. And I think this fight right here, Mike Perry versus Michael Seals, my favorite fight on the card. I think we have that on. Do we have that on here? Yeah. I don't have the video. I'm not going to play this because the audio will probably get us in trouble. I only got the video of the main event finish, which I'll show you guys when we get to that. But he lands. This is the uppercut, but this is not the left shot that drops Perry when Perry even said afterwards he did interviews with MMA Junkie and other folks that were there after they fought. He said that he knew that his pressure was going to be, especially Seals had a height and reach advantage over him, so he felt that his pressure was his best advantage. I mean, when it comes to fighting him, you can say what you will. I know people like to make fun of Mike Perry and all the stuff that he does outside of fighting, but when it comes to fighting, he's definitely got the mindset for what he had to do last night. He got dropped. It looked like it hurt him and also aggravated him. And the way that he recovered from that, I thought was really impressive, especially the way he finished I mean, during the last two rounds, it just looked like he turned up his output and risked a lot of his own brain health to get the it was a split decision for him. The look on his face and the gratitude he seemed to show afterward was because it looked like he might have thought that he lost, and then it turned out that he won, and it was because something about the going to. I think the pressure was just too much for guys that are at the level of boxing that Seals was, and I think that was the case for a lot of people, even in the fight with Alexa Culp, and I don't want to butcher the young lady's last name that she knocked out in the first round, Angelina Hofschneider. She got the TKO in round 1 in 46 seconds. That's not on here, but if you see that, I mean, it's just it looked like Hofschneider was trying to do the feeling out process, and I think if the boxers were allowed to get inside and feel out the triangle ring, they probably would have known we have to be ready to shell up and fire back or go toe to toe. So it's almost like I don't want to say it's like bare knuckle boxing, because bare knuckle they do the toe line in a circular because there's still space. The hard angles of the triangle shaped ring seem to cut off a lot of the angles that a boxer would like to use in a boxing match. I mean, if you look at any boxing highlights and all the movement they have to do what they do. Again, I'll bring this up as an example, the one we just showed from here. I mean, this was look at all that space they have and how they're moving around each other. They were running into ropes oftentimes when in Triad. Nice right hand. They're running into ropes oftentimes. And if you watch, you'll see Campos and you'll see Perry put their opponents' backs to the ropes and almost to the. Perry even said there was one point where he went low on the and did a couple of MMA fighters did the gable grip around the lower back just to show that they could take them down if they wanted to kind of prove a point that there's still more there's still more options in real fighting. I mean, I shouldn't say real fighting. True combat than what's limited in here. So I don't know, man. I feel like I mean, I definitely like the 2-minute rounds. I like the pacing. And I like that both, like, some boxers, the boxers that did win definitely felt the urgency to go for a win when they knew they couldn't do the footwork and stuff. Harry Gigliotti was definitely one of the ones that seemed to do that when he felt the pressure and stuff. One thing I want to say is, to the gloves that they used, I had it out here to show you, similar to this, like the ones they use in Karate Combat. I know I talked about eye pokes and stuff before on this Sunday submission, and that first fight that eye poke happened. So I guess they're not as eye poke, anti-eye pokey as I thought they were. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but that's the best I can come up with. And then in the main event, so I'm not just defending Dan Marigliotti because he's a Jersey martial artist like myself, homegrown Jersey boy that likes the fights and stuff. But Wheelock commented it on too, because Ray Flores was a little hard on the stoppage. So as soon as the fight happened, what was the time here? Let me bring this back up. The time on this was 1 minute and 59 seconds of round one when Pulev knocked out or TKO'd Frank Mir. And I want to say that Marigliotti referees a lot of combat sports. I mean, he's done some kickboxing stuff. I know he's someone that's come from the striking arts himself, because he had a school out here in Elizabeth, New Jersey back in the day that I was fortunate enough to train at, like in early 2003, I want to say. And folks are they're making fun of him for the delayed reaction and stuff like that. So a combination landed that shook Mir, and then one more left hook landed. And the highlight that's available that I'm going to show you shows what folks are making fun of. So let me bring that up for you so you can see it. So this is just after the left hook, and the shout out to Pulev for pulling back, but right from the beginning here. Let's play it from here. This is right after the left hook. So Pulev pulls back and he starts walking towards him. And so folks are saying that that stoppage was late. I don't think so. I believe that the stoppage was just. Oftentimes referees will get, it's damned if they do and damned if they don't. I mean, you got to remember that the time that's happening, the three men in the ring, the referee's responsibility is for the fighter's safety. I think Marigliotti's stoppage, the way he handled it, was good. He wanted to give Mir his opportunity to recover, because then you'll get fighters always contest a stoppage. Shannon Briggs had a problem with the stoppage from the Alexa Culp fight when Alexa Culp knocked out Hofschneider, which, by the way, Hofschneider was absolutely fine with the stoppage, but Shannon Briggs, being the boxing captain, he admitted afterwards that he was a sore loser. So what do we take away from this? Um, I think everybody, including the officials, probably need to digest the if you're going to continue holding events like this, they need to digest their rule set a little more. I think the fighters and maybe even the referees need to be able to come in. I mean, they called it checking the ring on the boxing side. How fighters wanted to check the ring. I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, they're the ones going to be in. They're risking their health, so why wouldn't you let them do that? That just seemed weird to me. Um, and the other thing that I wanted to mention was, so where do we go from here, right? Um, if Triller is going to keep trying to get into the fight game, maybe don't do it by dropping so much shade at. I mean, they're dropping shade directly. I know Ryan Kavanaugh posted something on Instagram talking about UFC inviting Dana White to pay his fighters better, something like that. I don't really get into the troll back and forth nonsense on social media. And the other thing is, talking about fighter pay, Shannon Briggs was saying, like, you see the millions that boxers get when they're main eventer, but there's the guys that are, that you don't know that well. The payday's better. So I don't know how long they're gonna. I don't know how well this pay per view did. It was $19.99, and $2.99 for $2.99 if you a month for if you're on the Trillerverse. Where they have the monthly 2 events a month or whatever it is over at Triller or Fight TV. It's through Fight TV anyway. They own Fight TV now. So I don't know where we go with it. I think it's a little funny that, like, again, I think they're trying to throw shades on both ends by holding the event the same night as the Lopez Cambosos and taking the shots at Dana White. The UFC comes back this weekend. It's a Jose Aldo fight week, as folks are calling it. It's going to be on ESPN. UFC Vegas 44. I think it'll be a welcome return to what we're used to. But I've always been a fan, and if you listen to Coast Combat Hour, Matt Hawkins and I always talk about, I mean, we like a little bit of strange. We like to see something different, something new. That's why it's good to expand your horizons when it comes to combat sports and check things out like this. So I think if the fighters are happy with it, that's a plus. But if you're going to be risking fighters that probably the health of fighters that probably should start thinking about calling it a career, that's something else that you have to take into consideration. So I don't know, like Frank Mir again. Quentin Rampage Jackson said that Frank Mir was going in with an injury, and Matt Mitrione lost the last two for the co-main and main event. Matt Mitrione lost by decision, but almost won in the beginning, which is why he came out as strong as he came out in the beginning, because he only had like 3 weeks notice. So it's again, this seems like something they put together rather quickly, maybe with more planning. And it looks like at the post-fight press conference, they said more states are accepted these modified rules. I think the fact that Sean Wheelock was helped make those probably is going to get it more states involved. But I'm trying not to be too negative. But Triller, I'm wondering how much they care about the health of the competitors. That's my biggest concern. I don't want anybody. We've already had enough deaths in boxing or things like boxing, and in my opinion, I know this is supposed to be a rule set that levels a playing field, but in my opinion, this is not. I feel like takedowns somehow, not just clinching and just clinch work. I feel like takedowns need to be added, some form of grappling. In my opinion, the most even playing field rule set is a Karate Combat rule set. That's just me. I wrote a whole article about it over at SureDog.com when they held their first event. Because you can teach somebody to kick above the belt and show the basic front kick, basic roundhouse kick, and even a side kick, depending on how comfortable they are with their own body. And I think younger combat sports athletes can make that adjustment. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think. Drop it in the comments. And if you haven't checked out Karate Combat, you should check out their rule set. all their stuff is on YouTube for free anyway. So you may or may not agree with me, but we get back to business this weekend, so I'm looking forward to it. But I do appreciate a little bit of change. Make sure you give me a follow on Twitter at Carbazel. Again, the full results are up at MMAnews.com. I'll drop the link below so you can look at them. I know it wasn't with Thanksgiving and the holiday and stuff like that. A lot of folks, especially the demographic that MMA News reaches out to, the UFC stands, as I like to call you guys, we're stomping your feet that there was no UFC, but it comes back, and then December 3rd we got Bellator back, and we get back to normal pretty soon. So as for Triller, we'll see, right? Thank you so much for watching. Peace. I'm tapping out. I'll catch you next week.